Television News live at AutoSens. We're here in Detroit in the Motor City at the Michigan Science Center for what has been already an exciting day of ADAS and automotive thought leadership. Now, AutoSens is a best-in-class event that brings together the ADAS community. The industry experts that you see and you meet here at AutoSens are helping shape the future of mobility. One such expert is Abhay, the Senior Vice President of Indie Semiconductor's Vision Q business unit. It's responsible for the development and the industrialization of automotive computer vision and sensor fusion solutions. Now, prior to joining Indie Semiconductor, Abhay was the Global Vice President of Marketing for Visteon, and prior to Visteon, he was head of automotive marketing for Sony, where he was responsible for establishing Sony's presence in the automotive industry. Here to get us caught up on, what he's been doing the last few years and Indie Semiconductor's Vision Q business unit. Abhay, welcome. So glad you could join us.
Thank you, Carl. Always a pleasure to see you.
Yes. So give us an overview of Indie Semiconductor. I want to dive a little deeper, but just give us a high-level overview of the company first.
Absolutely. So we are relatively a very, very young and very successful company.
Yes.
In automotive space.
Yes.
So we are a 100% automotive focused semiconductor company.
Yes.
Started in 2007.
Okay.
And they started shipping in 2011. So automotive takes a long time.
Right.
At least 10 years to prove you out. The good news is we have been there for 10 years.
Yes.
And another good news is actually all the 4 co-founders of the company are still active.
Yes.
They are driving the company from the front.
Right.
Last year, in summer, we went IPO through a reverse SPAC merger. So what that has done is that has given us a very, very strong balance sheet.
Sure. Sure.
And it has also given us access to much more complex and bigger programs, because you have to prove that you have a long history and you are going to be there for at least 10 years, 20 years around.
Yes.
And there is always a gap in the market. So I think we are quickly filling up. We have very differentiated product portfolio. We have #1 market share in CarPlay.
Yep.
And we are going very, very strong on the automotive sensing side.
Right. So you mentioned, being differentiated. Let's talk about that a little more, Abhay. How is Indie Semiconductor, how is it different in the automotive space from every other company?
That's a great question, Carl. So if you look at rest of the automotive industry, what people do is any product, you name it, they design somewhere else and they repurpose the product in automotive.
Okay. Yes.
What we do is basically we truly believe in a product that is designed by automotive for automotive. So any product that we design, we do a ground-up design, specifically taking automotive use cases into consideration.
Right.
And therefore, our products meet much better cost, power, and performance sphere than anybody else in the market.
Sure. When it comes to key market trends, what are you seeing from your perspective? So, what are the key market trends? What are the key innovations in the market right now? But further to that, how is Indie Semiconductor helping your customers meet those trends, meet those challenges, and design those innovations?
Absolutely. Again, I think that's a great question. So, automotive industry is at an inflection point where 3 key trends that are hitting simultaneously. Electrification is one of them.
Yes.
And electrification requires pretty good power solutions. So what we have is actually power is our bread and butter. What we can do is we can get highest efficiency in the buck and boost category, and we can directly drive basically our PMIC chips from the battery. We don't need any other bridge chip or anything else in between.
Right.
So why that's important? It's important because semiconductor content is going to go through the roof inside the automotive, and each one of them need PMIC solution, a specialized PMIC solution, and every single ounce of joule loss you can save will save the number of miles driven on the electric vehicle.
Right.
So we are very active in electrification space.
Yes.
The second space is also the connectivity space or infotainment space. So as I told you, We already have #1 market share in CarPlay. So we are going to take that forward as well. The third space, which is very, very important, is ADAS space.
Yes.
So we just entered into the radar market. We already signed a deal with one of the biggest tier one, and our differentiation is twofold.
Yes.
So basically there are two chips. One is MMIC, or the RF component, and the second one is the processing component.
Right.
So for the RF component, what we can do is we can produce 2x number of channels in the same or less area. So meaning that alternatively, if you have to get 4x8 type MMIC looking for the front corner radar, then you need to use two of those chips and daisy chain them. And that will take the cost out of the whack, also power out of the whack.
Right.
What we can do is basically in the same area, we can double the number of channels, and as a result, resolution is double.
Right.
And because of that, when a normal passenger car is going on the junction, you can have much better view of the junction and what's going around the junction, like basically the pedestrians crossing, vulnerable road users crossing, vehicles crossing, all of that. Side on the same product, we have lowest power and highest performance MCU, and when you combine both of them,
yes,
you can deliver a single box solution that is not possible to be delivered otherwise. So basically, not only we are bringing the premium product, but while bringing them, we are also containing the cost. So that's a radar story. On the LiDAR, we have a FMCW LiDAR, which is going to be the key. So the differentiation between the radar and LiDAR, where the radar stops and LiDAR starts, is having a high resolution radar and then going towards imaging radar. So imaging radar is tough.
Yeah.
So that's where LiDAR will take place. But in order for LiDAR to happen, you need to have FMCW LiDAR.
Yeah.
And what we recently did is we acquired Terexion, which is based in Quebec City, and they have best-in-class lasers.
Sure.
So when we combine Indy's LiDAR SoC with best-in-class laser, that's the product that market needs. So I think we can solve the LiDAR problem at much better cost point, which automotive industry needs.
Right.
Now that brings me to the vision solution. So my own background is in the vision, and right now when I look at the industry, there is really no solution. Right? Basically, if you look at the SoC providers, they cannot do the image processing. If you look at the image processing providers, they cannot do the compute. So these two things need to be combined together. So for example, if somebody needs to process 8 megapixel camera, you need to provide the processing, image processing and compute element for less than 1 watt.
Okay.
Otherwise, you cannot put all the solutions into the camera because it becomes very hot and it will become unusable. So all these, while I was talking about the edge solution where you have a smart camera, smart radar, and a smart LiDAR.
Yes.
But at some point, you have to also fuse the data, which is the zone, right? So we are working on a zonal processor that should come out in the market at the end of 2023.
Okay.
So basically, not only we are doing much differentiated and cost competitive solution for LiDAR, radar, and vision, but we are also working on providing a solution that can combine all of this and provide a very effective zonal processor.
Right. So Abhay, when we're talking about cost reduction, combining everything into these effective solutions for the automotive market, software-defined cars is what comes to mind, and that is a big topic here at AutoSens, but just a big topic in the automotive industry in general. So what are your thoughts on software-defined cars? What are the challenges? What are the use cases? When do we think we'll see more of them? What are just your thoughts on software-defined vehicles?
Absolutely. So a software-defined vehicle is coming, and the reason for that is basically you need a unified software architecture that can feed across the vehicle. So if you look at the problem today, you pick any OEMs that have a non-mobilized solution for high-end, still low-end, they have a mobilized solution. So basically what happens is when they design the low-end platform, they have one software and hardware stack.
Yes.
And when they go towards high end, they have a completely different solution.
Yeah.
So they have to leave one solution behind and go to other solution, and these two solutions coexist, which means they are spending double. They have engineering department which is complex, and not to forget, the quality of the software code is very poor. So what they have to do is they have to put one horizontal layer that scales across the vehicle. So if I take a $17,000 car versus a $140,000 car,
Yes.
my software layer has to be same.
Yes. Yes.
And let me give you another example.
Please,
so,
please.
So if I buy a $17,000 car, most of the active sensing elements are going to be forced by the regulation. Like, for example, if let's talk about camera.
Sure.
So in a $17,000 car, there are going to be three cameras. One is the rear view camera,
Yep.
one is front camera, and one is the DMS camera.
Yes.
Each one of them forced by the regulation. All forward-looking corner radars for the blind spot.
Yes.
Now that $17,000 car cannot afford a big hunky central processor.
Right.
And there is no need for it, right?
Right.
So even if you find a big pocket somewhere in your department to fund the big hunky CPU, still you have to talk about the thermal, how are you going to cool it, how are you going to manage the quality aspect of it.
Yes.
Better
Yes.
solution is the edge solution. Now when you take that to a $30,000 to $40,000 car where OEMs want a differentiation, because that's very, very hot category.
Yes. Yes.
Then the rear view camera get replaced by the surround view cameras. Back corner radars will get replaced by the four corner radars, basically because vehicles has to be situationally aware. And then the front camera is going to be more powerful, where basically not only it can do in-lane navigation, but also it can change the lane. Now, the camera and radar have to fuse, because the only way OEMs can charge is by having advanced parking features.
Right.
In order to do that, again, you don't need central processor because it's too complex, and by the time data leaves, there is already a big cost of data transport, cabling cost. The better way to solve that problem is the zonal computer. And since nobody has the zonal computer, OEMs have no choice, but they need to go to central processor. Now you already see that when you have an edge solution, and then from there you are moving today to central compute, your tool chain, your software, everything is separate. When you have a unified solution that is moving from one vehicle platform to other,
Yes.
that is the only way you can realize a base software layer or operating system that
Right.
is consistent across the vehicles, and then you can build hardware or middleware on top of it. So that will help you standardize the middleware. I can give you another example. So if you look
Please.
at the DMS,
Yes. Yeah. Please. This is all relevant. Yes.
so DMS is very fragmented, right? So there are so
Yeah.
many DMS players, and all they do, each one of them look at the face. They look at the facial features. So first, basically, they detect the face.
Yes.
Then they extract the facial feature, and then somebody can look at the eyelid monitoring. Then basically, somebody can look at the gaze tracking,
Yes.
face tracking.
Yes.
Essentially doing either same function or different function. But what has
Right.
to happen? I can put one single camera, and if I standardize the middleware, then basically I can extract all the facial features and landmark.
Right.
And then that allows OEM to build any application they want. I mean,
Yes.
whether I do the driver identification or I do the driver monitoring, that can
Right.
be standardized.
Right.
So that's the approach automotive industry has to take.
Abhay, one more question here, just in the time that we have left. You've had a long career, very accomplished career in automotive. What are some things that come to mind? What are you the most proud of? What are some things that, when you look back at your automotive career, that really make you proud that you were part of?
So I think automotive industry has come a long way, and today every single car that has camera, and every single car has camera, at least one of the camera I have been part of. Every single car has at least one of the camera that is either developed by me and basically productized by me.
Yeah.
And in the active sensing, the automotive industry has come really, really long way. So
Yeah.
like 8 years ago, we were still using VGA camera. Today we are talking about 8 megapixel.
Right.
Each one of them can do object detection.
Yes.
In a very good way, right? So car knows where the environment is, and massive improvement actually.
Abhay, now that you're here in the Detroit area and I live here, we'll have to continue this conversation off camera over a cup of coffee. But in the meantime, from all of us here at AutoSense and AutoVision News, we want to thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your thought leadership. And we wish you all the best of luck going forward.
Thank you, Carl. Always a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Yes, absolutely. So again, more broadcasts coming today and tomorrow. We have a full schedule, but a floating clock as we have been quite busy here. But that is a good thing, busy in a good way here at the Michigan Science Center. This is AutoVision News live at AutoSense, Detroit 2022.